like a Hellcat.
Hello and welcome back to the channel where once again it's time for another Warhammer 40,000 Combat Patrol. Today it's issue 14, which sees us add 2 new paints, Rakarth Flesh and Screamer Pink. It says we're going to be covering the 3rd Tyrannic War and deployment in this issue. Turning over then, it shows you where to add the Rakarth Flesh and the Screamer Pink to your existing models before showing you the work in progress pictures for those Space Marines. And over the page, it shows you what your Tyrannid model should look like that needed those colours as well. Before we go on to some reading material, the Inquisition, it is Section A, Imperium, Part 10. The Inquisitorial Rosette. The symbol is the Inquisition's mark of office. Struggled to say that word. Every Inquisitor wears it about their person, either as a subtle icon or as a brash heraldry. Over the page, then, that continues with Ordo Malleus, Ordo Zenus, and Ordo Herecticus. Before we go on to Oath of Moment, this is Section B, Space Marines, Part 9. To a Space Marine, honor is everything. If a Space Marine swears to bring down a hated foe, he will give everything in order to do so, even his life. This carries on over the page with the Mightiest of Foes, and then a small reading material called Bear Witness at the bottom before we go on to the 3rd Tyrannic War. This is Section C, Tyrannids, Part 11. 200 years passed between the 1st and 2nd Tyrannic Wars. A mere 5 passed between the 2nd and 3rd, striking deep into an Imperium still struggling to recover from the Tyrannids' previous assault. High Fleet Leviathan carved a path of destruction across the galaxy and almost wiped out an entire chapter. This continues over the page before we go on to deployment. This is Section B, Basics, Part 11, where a general deploys their forces. Can be a difference between victory and defeat. In this guide, you'll learn how to deploy your models for battle in games of Warhammer 40,000 and what to consider during employment. Deployment. And it shows you an example there on the page. Over the page, then, it gives you tips for deployments, threat ranges, objectives, matching unit to unit, before we go on to infiltrators and deep strike, and then it gives us a little bit of information on infiltrators and when and how to deploy the infiltrators. We go over the page and it tells us about deep strike and when and how to use deep strike before we go on to scenario number 10, deep strike, which is Section F, Scenarios, Part 10. In this mission, you will try to get 2 special deployment rules for the first time. Deep strike and infiltrators. The Tyrannids will use infiltrators with the Von Rhine Leapers, whilst the Space Marines will deep strike with the Captain. It tells us that we're going to use the 1 Captain, the 5 Infernus Marines, and 2 Terminators, and they'll be facing off against 5 Barbicaunts, the 3 Von Rhine Leapers, and 10 Termagants. Like always, then, it tells us what to do step by step with the Tyrannids going first, the command phase, movement, shoot, charge, and then the fight phase, and it gives you an example of moving and shooting, like usual, on the next page. Over the page, then, it gives you a breakdown of the Space Marines' turns before giving an example of charge and fight at the bottom of the page. Like always, I should say, we've got a little bit of reading material for if it's a Space Marine victory or a Tyrannids victory before we go on to the final page, which tells us issue 15 comes with the psychophage, I should say. I'm not getting my words out properly again this week. That's quite a big model, to be fair, and it's fairly expensive if you buy it, but of course it's in one of these box sets, so you can actually pick them up off eBay brand new for less than £10. So it's not a particularly money saving issue, but it is a really big, impressive model before issue number 16 sees 2 more paints, Mephiston Red and Squig Orange. That is it for today. Only a few more issues left until we get to issue 20. I have said that I'm planning to stop at issue 20, although I may get the issues 21 to 30 for the Chaos Space Marines. Undecided on that at the moment. Let me know your thoughts on issue number 14 in the comments down below, and like always, I'll be back next week with another issue of Combat Patrol. Goodbye for now.